when you continue to operate from your heart space, and when you continue to operate and let go of pain as it occurs, you do not have to worry about having the same level of charged emotional pain like you had in the past. Because as a child, we develop strategies for how to deal with the heart pain. And one of those strategies involves compartmentalization, closing off the doors to feeling from the heart space, which then shuts you out from your ability to truly feel at a higher energy vibration. So at the end of all this, you'll have a choice. You either accept the mission to be a spiritual warrior, to move into the pain and come from the heart space in all matters, or to shove this aside from your mental space and say that you don't really have to do this, that you're comfortable with where you're at, and you're going to continue on with your journey. You're going to listen to things that we'll talk about strategically and how it makes sense for your ego. You're loved, you're supported, happiness and peace is truly all within, and the part they don't tell you is it's once you get past all that pain and let it go and burn it out. True happiness, true peace, and true congruence is all inside from the heart space. Everything else is insignificant compared to that. The stories, the history, everything. As a community and as a planet, when we all have reached a point of burning through the pain of the old world, a lot of what you have suffered, by the way, is a product of the old world. Because any person, whatever they did to you, whatever pains you're holding on to, I want you to get inside, move your awareness and get inside that person and feel their pain. You never shifted your awareness in some cases to the pain that the person who did things to you was suffering through. And they were suffering through pain for whatever pain that maybe the people that caused them were suffering through. It's a long chain of pain and suffering and non-operating through the heart space. And we're breaking that pattern. This is how we move into the new world. We break the freaking pattern. There's one more reason why we don't move into the heart space, and that's because we judge it and we say we don't appear strong if we show our vulnerabilities and are weak. Being vulnerable is not the same thing as being weak. Being vulnerable is absolutely something you do when you move into the heart space. Because the heart is not as strong as the ego on the physical exterior. You're still going to use the ego, but you don't have to operate from the ego all the time, and you don't have to appear strong all the time. Real strength, actually, is to be able to move and operate from the heart space and understand that two things. When you know how to clear the heart space of negative or painful energies, there's freedom in that. And number two, that even though the heart space feels more open and that can feel vulnerable, that there is actually a certain level of protection within the heart space. And actually to be able to operate from the heart and have this sheathed, this protection in the heart, but it's a permeable protection, meaning that other heart energies can still get through that protection. That's actually where you want to be. That's your center of control and focus right there. You still will have strength and protection, but now the reason why you're a spiritual warrior is because from that place you are going to feel more pain. You are going to feel more pain as you go through life, but you're also going to feel more joy and more love. So it's actually weaker to decide that you don't want to feel pain anymore and shut the heart space off and then cut yourself off from that energy. It's actually a weaker spiritual being to choose that mode of operation, because you're limiting yourself from a great storehouse of energy and capacity. Just because you think you're being stronger, you're actually being weaker. Because why? Because you're insulating yourself from pain, and you've completely shut the walls around your heart so that you don't feel pain. A true spiritual warrior says, bring the pain on. I can handle it. I don't mind crying, because crying is my outlet for this pain. Bring the pain on, life, because I'm going to die anyways. Who cares? I'm going to love openly, and I'm going to be a freaking spiritual warrior. And I'm going to make it happen in this lifetime, because if I don't step up and do it, I have greatly limited the amount of people that I could have reached in my lifetime. There are people that need you. There are things that you're going to create in your lifetime that if you don't step into your heart space and do this, it won't be created. The people won't be touched. They won't be open. Their chains are going to go on and passed on to their children. And then the exponential effect of who you didn't reach, what you didn't accomplish in this lifetime, what you have to come back and face gets multiplied out in the millions. Because you couldn't be a spiritual warrior and open your hearts. And realize that your pain is not so significant that you can't show up 100% in this lifetime. Completely from the heart. We all have the capacity to be spiritual warriors. And in the next phase of our discussion, you're going to step into controlling your freaking ego. But you can only do it when you're coming from the heart space. And what I mean by controlling your ego, now we want to equip it. Forget what they said. Once you disintegrate your ego, you want a strong ego. You're going to give it the best possible tools, resources, strength, power. You want your ego to be as strong as possible, but guess what? You always want your soul to be a little stronger. You always want your soul and your awareness to be a little stronger, because that ego is a clever, tricky son of a gun. And it's always going to try to steal your spiritual powers and move it back into its control, which means that it's going to move your awareness and your soul back inside of the ego, and then it's going to be an ego-dominated, individualistic life again, if you allow that to occur. And the stronger your ego is, the harder it is to control. It's kind of like having a more powerful horse, a more powerful elephant. It's like the more power you have behind, the more challenging it is to control. But guess what? That's part of your spiritual warrior journey. You do not want weak egos, but you don't want egos that insulate you from pain either. You want incredibly strong egos, but you want incredibly heart-driven souls that guide and drive the ego.